and welcome back to my channel. My name is Mallory, and this is my channel where I talk about my journey and things that bother me, and I yap a lot. There's a really dangerous piece of advice floating around various writing circles that in order to write a good psychological drama, that it requires you to open your own wounds and just bleed all over the page. If you're writing a novel that's based on true events or real life experiences like me, that advice isn't just bad advice, but it's actually mentally hazardous. And yeah, I don't like that. So let's just say that you sit down and you're writing your book, you're writing out your trauma, right? You aren't just typing out your trauma. You're not just writing a book. You're actually forcing your brain to visually reconstruct a memory. Because our nervous system struggles to separate a vivid narrative from a current threat, you could actually trigger the exact same emotions that you felt in that moment years ago. You can actually put yourself in fight or flight in the middle of writing your story, which, if anyone has ever experienced that, is terrible. Let's just say that you finish writing and you feel completely exhausted, anxious, or even numb. That is not the artistic process. That, my friend, is actually called emotional flooding. But we can tell our story. We can tell a story based on true events, based on real life events, but also not destroy our sanity in the process. We're gonna go ahead and we're gonna break down the exact boundary system that you need in order to write your psychological fiction safely. In order to protect our mental health, we have to build what writers call aesthetic distance. This means that we are intentionally breaking the mirror between you and the protagonist in your story. Here are 3 ways that we can do that. So first, we have the point of view shift. And what the point of view shift suggests is that you do not use I. Instead of being a first person book, write it in third person. This shift creates a cognitive buffer. It tells your brain, this is happening to someone else, not you. And then we have the reality swap. So we just need to change the specifics in the story. If the real life event happened, let's say, in a cottage in the mountains in the middle of winter, why don't we just have the setting in downtown Houston, a metropolitan area in the summer? And then, of course, we want to change the appearance. Their job, their name, their dog named Bob. His name's Steve now. My book is in first person, and I did struggle, but here's what I did that actually worked. So I don't want you to go back and Control F for I and replace all this stuff and rewrite your book. That's not what I'm telling you. But if you have already, elbows deep into your story, I highly advise that you hire an artist or you draw it yourself if you can manage more than a stick figure of the main character, the female main character. For example, in my book, I changed her appearance. She has black hair, she has emerald green eyes, she has fair skin. And when I think about my book, or when I'm writing the book and I'm writing a scene that is inspired by true events, I'm not picturing me in middle school, or me in high school, or me in my 20s, or even my 30s. I am picturing Victoria, and I can see it in my brain when I'm writing the story, and that has changed everything for me. So yeah, I highly recommend that if you have been working on your book in first person, or if you really want to write in first person, just create a character and visualize it instead of you. We make these changes, but it also doesn't change the exact emotional truth of those scenes. You're still preserving them without re-traumatizing yourself. You can still channel the exact emotional truth of what you went through without forcing your brain and your nervous system to just rerun the exact memory over and over again. So let's go ahead and move forward and look at a concrete tool that actually helps writers perfectly for psychological dramas, and that is the unreliable narrator. So in real life, you know exactly what happened to you, and you will be damned if anyone tells you otherwise. And that can really make writing painful. But in psychological drama, you can weaponize memory distortion. So give your main character a reason to misinterpret their surroundings. Maybe they're suffering from depression, severe sleep deprivation, grief, gaslighting. By focusing on the plot of how the character is misinterpreting the world, the story becomes perception rather than graphic violence. I actually have two examples for you to seek out for yourself for psychological dramas. Shutter Island and also Sharp Objects. These are considered masterful psychological case studies that explore on unreliable narrators, unprocessed trauma, and defense mechanisms. So now we're ready to set some strict boundaries. One cannot simply write a psychological drama in the same place where you sleep, where you relax, like on the couch. Let's go ahead and talk about a dedicated workspace. Choose a specific chair. I'm sitting on my office chair, and this is the chair I sit in to write. I have a designated place where I write, which is my desk, which is my office. The story stays here. When I'm done writing and I leave this book, my story, Victoria's story, doesn't follow me down the hall and down the stairs and into the kitchen. She stays here. Sensory triggers. Create a playlist. I have one on my Spotify and it's on private. I only listen to it when I'm writing the story, and it puts me in the world that I created for Victoria. I don't listen to this music when I drive. I don't listen to this when I'm choosing a song for karaoke night. It stays in my office. Many writers rely on pre-writing rituals to act as a mental trigger, signaling to the brain that it's time to shift from everyday life to the world that you created. You're no longer distracted by real-world problems, and you're putting yourself into a creative state. By completing a series of actions, the mind naturally transitions into this writing mode, into this other world. So an example of what I do, I turn off my overhead light. I leave on my neon light that you see behind me. I have, I have 5 candles on my desk that I light with a match. The smell of a burnt match just puts me in Victoria's world. It's actually really cool. Lastly, let's go ahead and talk about the somatic reset. Your body needs time to dump all that cortisol. So spend 10 minutes doing a light stretch, go check the mail, but then walk a little bit farther and walk back, like a 10-minute walk. Splash some cold water on your face, or if you're knowledgeable about grounding techniques, you can do those, whatever you see fit. One that works for me is you get ice in the palm of your hand, you squeeze, and what it does is it gives your brain time to switch gears. Your lived experience is your superpower. It gives your fiction a raw, authentic heartbeat. Although art is an imitation of life, your art is never worth your sanity. If you are currently working on a very heavy project, I invite you to mosey on down in the comments and let me know how you keep yourself safe. And of course, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you will not miss my next video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch this, and I really hope that this video helps you along in your writing journey.